Did Donald Trump order his Attorney General, Bill Barr, to use the FBI to seize a secret safe belonging to Jeffrey Epstein, the pedophile financier? Because in that safe were dozens of photos of Donald Trump cavorting with underage women, topless at Jeffrey Epstein's house. Did that happen? According to Michael Wolff, a journalist who writes for New York Magazine and has his own podcast called Fire and Fury, it happened. He's got the 100 hours of interviews on audio with Jeffrey Epstein, and he saw those photos. You're on the new Legal AF YouTube channel. There it is. Free subscribe. Early voting has started. Hit the subscribe button. And I'm Michael Popok at the intersection about this story. Now, if Michael Wolff is to be believed, and he has been for years a credible journalist and writes as a regular contributor to magazines such as the New York Magazine. He's written a couple of controversial books in the last few years. One about Donald Trump called Fire and Fury, in which, as part of it, he used the Jeffrey Epstein interview audio about the inner workings of and the inner thoughts of Donald Trump about people in his inner circle. He didn't mention in the book these photos. Let's put a pin in that for a minute. And that book took on a little heat about whether all of his facts were accurate and all of the interviews were corroborated. Sure, when that bombshell blew up while the Trump White House was still going on during the Trump administration, everybody ran for cover and denied having given interview notes or interviews to Michael Wolff. Michael wrote another book about the fall of Rupert Murdoch and Fox News off the Dominion defamation scandal, the one in which they had to pay $757 million for defamation damages down in Delaware. And the same thing happened. MAGA Republicans who cooperated with them in the book then ran for cover after the book was published. That doesn't mean that Michael's not telling the truth, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that there's been some criticism of Michael Wolff's journalism in a way that, like a fellow investigative reporter like Bob Woodward never gets this kind of flack. But listen, you can also, as is, I think is right to question, we're only hours away from the election. Where was Michael Wolff all this time talking about these photos? Now, he claims the triggering event for him was recent allegations that have come out from Miss Switzerland and a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model that are almost identical, about Donald Trump groping them, sexually assaulting them, and attacking them. And I guess that was the straw that broke Michael Wolff's back, and out came these allegations. And let me break down the allegations. Michael Wolff alleges that not only does he have 100 hours of interview notes with Epstein, but that Michael Wolff has actually seen the photos before they were seized, according to Michael Wolff, in an FBI raid when they grabbed Jeffrey Epstein's safe. There's a lot to unpack there. One, was Jeffrey Epstein trying to blackmail Donald Trump? Why else are you going to keep the photos in your safe? I get it if you're a pedophile. As far as, profiling goes, they like to kind of keep trophies of whatever they've done, and they play it back for pornographic purposes. But why do you keep them in a safe? Usually you keep something in a safe because you want to use it later in some sort of transaction, which we call extortion. So you have that. Secondly, did that safe exist, and where did that safe go after the raid in 2019? Did the FBI grab the safe and its contents? Shouldn't it be cataloged somewhere? And where did it go after? I get that this was all under Bill Barr, and Bill Barr has been a major enabler and cover-up artist for Donald Trump. But where is the stuff? Shouldn't the media, fill in the blank, go after and ask for a public records request to try to get to the bottom of what's in the Jeffrey Epstein file? The public have a right to know whether Michael Wolff is telling the truth or not. Because if he is telling the truth, people are about to pull or have already pulled the switch for an election to vote for a person who's not only a sex abuser, but is a pedophile. And people should know that. And I think that's why Michael Wolff came out with it in Fire and Fury. Now, I'm not here to comment or corroborate about whether it's true. I'm just telling you that he is on public notice and record, Michael Wolff, as saying he interviewed for hundreds of hours Jeffrey Epstein, that he still retains those audio recordings, that he used it as the basis for his book, Fire and Fury, that during the course of his meetings and interviews with Jeffrey Epstein, he was shown the actual photos, because Epstein was still alive, obviously, then. He was shown the actual photos of Donald Trump with these women on his lap, underage women, including a photo, as I said, where there was a stain on his pants, a telltale stain, and the girl's laughing about it. And that Wolf remembers the photo because he saw it. He also believes that it was stored based on his interviews with Jeffrey Epstein in a safe, and that the safe would have ended up with the FBI during a raid of the Palm Beach house or the one in New York that Jeffrey Epstein lived in. That's what we've got. Yes, it's hours before the election, but I'm here at the intersection of law and politics when I hear something new, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model coming out against him, the women who were attacked and groped at the U.S. Open over the years, E. Jean Carroll's case, in which 2 juries found that Donald Trump effectively technically raped E. Jean Carroll. I say technical because under New York law, they couldn't figure out whether it was his finger that was used or something else based on her testimony, so they just threw up their hands and said sex abuse. But by today's standards, even if he used his finger, that's rape under New York law. It just wasn't at the time. So you've got all the women who testified in the E. Jean Carroll case about being sexually abused by Donald Trump in and around the same time as he assaulted her. The People magazine reporter in Mar-a-Lago, the woman on the plane, other women who came forward. And then you've got that, you got to plug it in as a puzzle piece along with the Stormy Daniels hush money cover-up affair, about the affairs that he had while he was married, while he was running for office, the one-time sex act with a stripper and porn star and Stormy Daniels. These are all things that juries have heard, and juries have already baked into their decisions all against Donald Trump. He has a one critical suit against him, crime or civil action ever. Every jury or grand jury that's heard the evidence, that's the biggest difference between those MAGA people that are out there saying, well, he probably didn't do it. Well, you probably didn't hear the evidence. Every jury that's heard the evidence, right? The 12 jurors that convicted Donald Trump's companies for tax evasion and tax fraud 3 years ago, the 12 more juries that convicted Donald Trump of the 34 counts of business record fraud and tax cover-up and election fraud related to Stormy Daniels, right? The 9-0 jurors in the first E. Jean Carroll case, the 9-0 jurors in the second E. Jean Carroll case, the dozens and dozens of grand juries, 5 of them that have indicted Donald Trump after hearing the evidence. And I want you to hear the evidence and make your own conclusion here on the Midas Touch Network and, of course, on the new Legal AF channel. You're here. While you're here, take a moment to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to build this up to about 275,000 subscribers by the time we get to Election Day. We're going to get there with your help. We're so close now. Bring over some friends and family. Early voting. You can only vote once by subscription, but hit the button. And then I'm sitting at the intersection of law and politics, curating this channel, doing my work on the Midas Touch Network, co-anchoring and co-founding the Legal AF podcast. And I thank you for being part of our journey as part of your own. I'm Michael Popok, and I am reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.